Today is glorious. For those of you who enjoy the conspiratorium, this is it. For those who speak their minds, who think, today might be one of the most fascinating days ever. The first topic I want to get to is Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham, number one, this is me. No matter how much I don't like somebody, and I did not like anything about his policy, he was a neocon ghoul responsible for more death than you can imagine. Most probably a closeted gay man, subject only to, and this is the only problem, subject only to blackmail. The only reason why anybody would care about somebody's sexuality is blackmail. This is one of the reasons why it was so bad with Bill Clinton. It wasn't so much that Bill Clinton was having an affair. It was because of the fact that there were so many people who were able to perhaps use that to compromise. So it is not at all the problem that he was gay. If he was, we don't know. There's no discernible fact to that. But that was something that can show anger, ambivalence. When you live in a world where you are afraid to be yourself, if that is true, we don't know. But there are other people as well. He's not the only one. And it's so funny in a world we live in where DEI is cis, trans, whatever, is still considered in so many circles negative to be gay, especially when you're a Republican in South Carolina. But that notwithstanding, I despised his politics, despised everything he stood for politically. However, I don't dance on his grave. On his grave. I do not do this. As I said to my friend Stephen Salty, I do not dance on his grave. I don't do that. I'm not one of these people. This is one of the most interesting things in the world. I have these things of morality. My morality is not, by the way, highfalutin, like, I'm telling you, there is a part of this where I think to myself, I don't like acting like this. I don't like this. There are people who permeate our world. If you don't like Candace Owens, fine. We'll get to that in a moment. But there is this dread C word that is women are called. I think it's worse than the N word, because at least the N word is used in popular culture, in black music, hip hop, references. Hey, my N. Nobody says, hey, my C. M-I-C-K-E-Y. It does. It's the worst. But when it comes to these low rent, absolutely hateful curs, these ferrets, these rabid weasels who just come out of the woodwork. And the same people who say that about Candace or any other woman, again, it's this unbridled, unchecked hatred, low rent, absolute low rent. The same thing comes with Lindsey Graham. I don't like him politically, but I'm not going to dance good that he's dead. Same thing with Dick Cheney. Good that he's dead. I'm glad he's dead. Do we not have any sense? Is there? Do you ever find yourself saying, that's not me. That's not my style. That's too. Don't care for that. That's not the way I was. Not raised, but that's not the way I am. And remember, morality is something that you do without anybody watching. You do it just on your own. You just sort of you don't need anybody to remind you of anything. You just sort of, it's just the way you are, and that's fine. But this is something which is so interesting to me, so fascinating. How does this work? How does this work? I think it's so interesting And we're going to back up a little bit about what's happening today. And let me see if I can explain it to you in my own particular way. And this is, I think, important. And this is if you really want to be higher level. I know that may sound contradictory, but if you want to be higher level, if you want to be somebody who really understands the way of the world, first of all, sit back and understand what's happening. Now, let me go back to Lindsey Graham for a moment. The same people who are going to be screaming and yelling, who hate Candace Owens, are going to love Lindsey Graham. What do you think that's about? What do you think that's about? Use your imagination. Why would that be? Why would people who hate Candace Owens love Lindsey Graham? Have you figured that one out yet? Do you need my help? Should I do the math for you? Have you figured that one out? Why is there this tendency? Why is it? Well, it's interesting. A lot of the people, as you know, who hated Candace Owens the most, called her, among other things, and called her anti-Semitic. And she has said some pretty strong things against Israel. I've said, and she, by the way, to be honest, I think she's said some pretty strong things about France, but nobody cares about France. So the people who also don't like what she said about Israel, which is her right, and others as well, up to and including people who live in Israel, not Israelis, not Jews, not Judaism, not anti-Semitic tropes, but in terms of this Netanyahu administration, they say the same thing. Now, they also love Lindsey Graham. What is that? Because he was pro-war, pro-Israel, pro-Ukraine, pro-NATO, pro-military industrial complex, pro-war profiteering, pro-death ghoul. Because these people, seriously, it's almost like necromancy. They love the notion of death. They love absolutely, I don't know what the word is. They just love this. So anyway, so they now are suggesting that this was a hit. And they're going to be looking at Russia, and they're going to be looking at, I don't know who else. Now we get into this philosophy. Now work with me on this. Question number 1 for you. Do you believe that there's anything suspicious about the death of Lindsey Graham? I was doing my WABC show this morning at about 2-ish, 3. When lo and behold, it broke. It was actually breaking news. I actually broke that. I didn't break it myself, but I was, But do you believe there's something suspicious? Do you believe there is something suspicious? First question. First simple question. Do you believe? And my response always is, well, what do you mean? What do you mean? And the answer is, I'm not sure at first, but let's look at a couple of things. Just the other day, he was in Ukraine. That's a pretty good, travel. That's a bit of a stretch, flying. And he was just talking to Trump. Everybody said he was apparently he was hale and hearty and in fine fettle and in fighting trim. Then all of a sudden he dies of a mysterious or an instant or just a brief illness or something. Something is weird with that. Now, first thing, ding, 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 that's odd. Then they said he died of cardiac arrest. Okay, maybe that's interesting. All right. We don't know. Remember, we're standing outside of the stadium. We're trying to guess the score based upon the noise in the stadium. We don't know anything. We don't know. Despite what you say, despite what people think, I am not a conspiracy theorist who jumps on this the way it's classically used. Because I don't know. But let's look at what's going on. This is interesting. Mitch McConnell, I don't think that's anything at all shocking. The man has been basically walking dead for I don't know how long. I think it's odd that his wife is in China and doesn't seem to be too concerned about the fate of her husband, at least from those of us watching. So, going back, do you think there's something to this? Don't know. If it was, do you think This is because what you're going to be doing is they're going to be saying it's Russia. They're going to claim, I'm guessing, poisoning, death ray, I don't know, a Martha Ray, Johnny Ray. Anyway, they're going to be doing this. Why? Don't know. These are the same people. These are the same people. And by the way, never jump into this. I don't care about somebody dying. You're in the wrong group if you're saying you better start thinking about what happens when a prominent member all of a sudden dies. Could they be sending messages to President Trump? Who? They. Who are they? We don't know. Never, ever, ever say, I don't care. You can say, I don't understand, or I don't, but everything is relevant. Everything is critical. Everything makes sense. Everything is important. We love to say, oh, I don't care about that. I don't care about cable. I don't care. Better care about it. You better think about it, because you can't be a participant of our world if you don't care. If you really, you have one of the leading senators who has been a pro-war advocate. And by the way, there's one thing that Candace and I think most of us agree with. Most of us are absolutely positively, if you believe in the holy word of Christ, the holy word of the Bible, the holy word of God, you believe and must believe that, how do I say this? That what's the best word? You must believe that the wanton, unnecessary, and bloodthirsty killing of innocent people, men, women, children, is something that Jesus and God would be rather not happy about. You understand this? You see what I'm saying? Do you see what I'm saying? You must understand this. So no matter how you look at it, this is relevant. But going through this, the answer is we don't know. Somebody was saying they're trying to send Trump a message. Who's sending Trump a message? I don't know. They are. What message? Again, this is without any information whatsoever. Well, there's means. They have poisons available, and they have a noose on a bun, and the black art of poisons, and okay. Yeah. What would that be? Somebody suggested Israel. I said, but Israel, he's their staunchest supporter. Netanyahu, you lost an ally. Say what you want. When you're a United States senator who has that tenure and that amount of time, this is a big deal. They lost that? And somebody said, yeah, but maybe it's to send Trump a message. They would shoot themselves in the foot. I don't know. See, this is the fun part. To some people, the first thing they do was, let me take the immediate story and just move on into different motivations, who are the people involved. We don't know. We don't know anything. We don't know anything. We just don't know. I just think it's interesting. Rule number 2, you will never find the truth. And number 3, you will see today on Fox News, if you dare to watch that news slop, everything's slop, that is, I believe, the worst, the most. I mean, listen, if you want to see propaganda, that's it. You're never going to see anything like this again. Period. There is nothing like it. Is the most propagandistic. It is also so anachronistic. They live in a world, they still represent a significant contingent, but that is death. It's to watch this. It's like people who are still doing the minuet, people who believe in buckles on their shoes, and women who curtsy and petticoats, and you're watching something from the past. It is a tribute to a post kind of a Rush Limbaugh world. Do you understand this? Someone asks a very serious question. My friend Shannon says, how is all this craziness stopped? There's never going to be craziness. Your craziness might be somebody else's deliberate plan. I don't know. So we'll see. It's still very new. But remember, sit back, Sit back and remember something. We don't know anything. We don't know anything yet. Nothing. We don't know anything. Which leads us to the trial. To the trial. It's one of those things which is still the most fascinating case I have ever seen in my life. What I'm seeing right now is so phenomenal, so great, so fantastic. It's hard to even believe this. Some people are still saying, oh my God, are you still talking about Candace? Let me give you an example. This is something from my own life, and this may mean nothing to you, but I will say this. I have a dear friend of mine who was an evangelical, I guess you call it maybe a preacher, for lack of a better word, truly one of the nicest, most sincerely Christian people I've ever met in my life. Absolutely wears it. In the mob, in the mafia, as we say, there's an expression, he wears it. This is the guy who was the classic. If you want to see something, come to New York sometime and go to San Gennaro, or go to San Gennaro. This is the San Gennaro feast every year in Little Italy, or Little Italy, as people say. And you will see people straight out of what you would believe to be central casting. I mean, you don't even have to know anything about organized crime and they look the part. Not that they are, but they look it, and they know it, and they love it. Because as I try to explain to people, the mafia, as we say, which is a term that nobody really uses, it's LCN and the like, but the life and all this stuff. But there are people who absolutely love it like you cannot believe. And they wear the cloak of the mob like you can't believe. I mean, they look the part. You can't believe it. You think I'm watching. This can't be true. Oh, it's true. All right. Oh, it's true. It's one of the most incredible things in the world. It's true. So, as I say that, my dear friend is this wonderful, wonderful man who really, truly believes in that which is the holy word of God. He is one of the best, I think, Christian people ever. He is somebody who believes in what he says. So my friend loves, I mean it, I can't say it enough. I've never seen anybody he's more devout than any priest or anybody I've ever known. Make a long story short, sorry for this very tangential, very strained explanation. He texted me today, he says that Candace, he believes, is evil. And I said, they got to you too? They got to you. And I do not understand for the life of me, what is it about this woman? And this is what should interest you. What is it about this woman that makes people this crazy? How did you lose your mind over this woman? It's just an opinion. It's just an opinion. There are people I know all the time who say things about, oh, I don't know. They say things about flying saucers and whatever. And for some reason or another, I guess they sort of maybe, I don't know what the word is. It's hard to say, but they're kind of lost in that particular world. So what is it about this? And I don't know. This is what's interesting. Now, going back, I don't know this for sure. And I can't say this, I can't prove this. But I would not be surprised, or it would not shock me, or things would make a lot more sense if you told me that there was a group of people actually paying online folks, big shots, name people to present this or to attack Candace and or to attack any theory other than Tyler Robinson. Now, I'm not saying I have proof of it, but it would make sense because I'm seeing a lot of big names all of a sudden say the most ridiculous thing, and it would make sense. Now, again, I don't know this. Now, why do I say this? Why, you may ask? Why would I say this? Why? Let me explain to you. A while back, there were some people that were brought to the White House. Do you remember when, what's his name? The hat. Timmy Pool. Remember when Tim Pool? Remember Timmy? He's got the hat like the Edge has, that hat, that wool cap, like it's a second story man. He said something about the fact that he met with Netanyahu or something. They all jumped on him. But all of these people were standing in front of the White House and they had the famous Epstein binders. And they held them up. Remember something. And the best is this guy, Posobiec, Probiotic, Pretinet, whatever his name is. He always looks like he's passing, I'm sorry to say this, the biggest hockey puck ever. He looks like he's just bearing down. It's called the Valsalva maneuver, where you're bearing down, like you're trying to blow your nose. It's just, he looks in pain, like he doesn't believe, but he always looks like this, never smiles. And he is the front runner in this theory that says, I saw the video. You know the story. I saw the video, and okay. So he and a bunch of his others, I think Liz Wheeler and was it TikTok Libs or whatever it was, they're holding up these, remember that? The white binders and smiling, holding it up. I think Cat Turd may have been one, or I don't know. They brought everybody to DC. And they, of course, said, hey, I'm a big shot. And say, you're being played. You're being played. You're being played as a sucker. They're using you. You don't even realize it. No, I'm important. Okay. So these important people went to the White House and they were handed these binders, which are a joke, which later on is now being used as a joke, including Jack Posobiec, whatever his name is. And he is Pozo, and he's showing this. Okay. Who do you think's behind that? Now, I'm not saying, of course, people always say Israel. It's not Israel. But it's groups of people who are smart enough to go after folks who make it worth their while. So if I were the president or I was somebody, I would say, give me 10 of your big names, 10, and I'll make sure we get the money to them. How? Trust me. It'll never say the White House. It'll never be whatever. But anyway, it might be something from, I don't know, maybe PTUSA, or which is part of a scholarship program or whatever. Again, I'm not suggesting this. Could be. Just like in Intel, you work for a company that doesn't really exist. You're a contractor for whatever. You got it? Okay. And then all of a sudden you're working for a CIA, but you don't know this. But it's so obvious. My dear friend Tatanka says they killed Charlie for his opinion. Now they tried to kill Candace for her opinion. And this is our dear friend from Luxembourg, France. God bless it. Isn't that wonderful? Your wisdom is so, so appreciated. Luxembourg, isn't that incredible? Now, do we know this? I don't know. I used to think that somebody's, and I'm concerned with everybody today. The thing that I will, how do I say this? The thing, and I'm going to say this, that I think protects Candace the most is her inordinate fame and focus. Let me explain this. Sometimes, this sounds weird. The first rule of a sentient group of people is don't bring attention to yourself. Don't do something that makes us look like we are Strange. I have a dear friend of mine named Sparky who said to me that Lindsey Graham was a South Carolina poor white who was an Army enlisted man before he became an Air Force uh, JAG officer. He was a poor white from South Carolina, evil or misguided, but not blackmailed. Don't know. Don't know. When somebody goes out of their way today, fighting a particular take, especially when you are from the South, and you have, again, let me tell you something. I have no reasons for this. I have no proof of this. Let me give you a postulate that makes sense. What was the better? And please forgive me, I'm jumping all over the place, but one idea inspires another idea, which inspires another. What do you think Epstein was about? Epstein was about, many people respect, honeypots and blackmail and extortion. It was about getting people in compromised position with either extramarital affairs or younger or children or whatever it was. That was something which is so important. One of the reasons why our government does not want the Epstein files to be released is because of the fact that we ourselves might want to use them for our enemies. Once I get that information, that's another story. Once I get it. There are some people who are so big. For example, Bill Gates is bulletproof. If you had Bill Gates, hypothetically, in satanic rituals, vivisection, animal sacrifice, you name it, nothing would matter because he's Bill Gates. You could have him with a flock of sheep, a herd of goats. It doesn't matter. He's Bill Gates. He's so big that you can't, how do I say this? You can't embarrass him. You can't blackmail him. He owns everything. You can't do this. He's just too big. It doesn't matter. He has a free reign. Elon Musk. Does it matter? No. You can't touch him. The richest man in the world? No. So that's one thing. But Lindsey Graham? Oh yeah. Yeah. He's not there yet. And remember, I'm talking not Lindsey per se, but anybody for that matter. If all of a sudden I get somebody to come forward, like they did with J. Edgar Hoover, the reason why the mob theoretically blackmailed him with Clyde Tolson years ago, because J. Edgar Hoover he was a gambling addict. It was a degenerate gambler, especially with the horses and the ponies. But once you do that, you own them forever. It was a different time then, far more moralistic. It was a very serious thing. There's a picture of him, I remember, wearing the dress, and some people say it was you can close this door just so if you get a chance. Anyway, some people are so big that Lindsey Graham's not that big though. Lindsey Graham's not, And what happens is when people are, and again, remember, I'm not saying this. I'm using him as an example. People who have been involved in something for a long time, and you've gotten away with things forever, and it's common knowledge. So when you go to D.C., what's common knowledge? Oh, common knowledge doesn't break into the public realm. Remember during the time when Ellen DeGeneres, when she came out, people in the comedy world knew exactly she was gay forever. Rosie O'Donnell came out. Everybody knew Rosie was gay. But people in mid-America didn't know this. They weren't sophisticated. They didn't understand it because Rosie was her friend. And it's weird. It's very, very strange. Lindsey Graham was somebody who, by the way, does not want any of this. This is all he has. It's his power. And God knows how much money. I want to know. This is terrible. Not that I know this for a fact, but I wouldn't be surprised if this guy had, oh my God, Swiss bank accounts, Cayman Island. For you to be responsible for the distribution of billions of dollars of weapons and war funding to Ukraine, Israel, that's a lot of money. And that's a lot of defense contractors who would really want you. By the way, even after you retire, you're set. You're on the board. This is the most lucrative. The power of this, the power of war. Just saying, don't have proof of this. Just spitballing, okay? And the first thing that will happen that will go south is if somebody were to say, wait a minute, this guy, we've got pictures or something. So anyway, so when somebody says, when somebody says, oh, he's not blackmailable. Oh, no. Everybody's blackmailable. Trump, it depends upon what the blackmail is. It depends upon what it was. Remember, Strom Thurmond had a black daughter and wild stuff. It's a fascinating subject. I have a good friend named Jane Seth Rubert who said they attempted to kill Candace's spirit and Charlie's spirit by killing Charlie's body. They instead amplified the spirits of both. That's how love works. Evildoers don't understand love. That's true. That's true. What I was saying about Candace, going back, again, I'm jumping back and forth. She right now is so big that if, God forbid, anything untoward happens to her, it becomes almost guaranteed as to who is identified as the suspect. And even people who are themselves crazy people don't want to do things that necessarily point the finger to them. We got a lot of topics here. Let me see, and please forgive me, but there's the the issue of our trial system, this lunacy. As I was saying, there's a fellow, by the way, this guy, Dom Luker, by the way, who was very smart. But now he's suggesting that he goes through the list that everybody who has never been, any famous person who has been convicted of killing, anybody who's been convicted of killing a famous person, Mark David Chapman. And if there was not a video, that shows specifically the actual murder, he is sarcastically suggesting that he wants that to be released. Because after all, people are saying, well, there's no video in the Tyler Robinson case. People are saying right now, well, Posobiec or whatever his name is, you say there's a video. There is no video. News media have said repeatedly there is no clear, there's no 4K. You know what you're talking about. Oh, there might be something. You've been told that. Why are you saying this? So what they're doing is they're saying, listen, try this tack. Let's go back and let's try this new trope, this new meme to suggest that, well, if you demand a video to prove the death of Charlie Kirk, did you need a video for school shooters or for Sirhan or whatever? The only problem with this is that the prosecutor said they have the video. Pozo, the poseur, he said he saw the video. We didn't say it. He said it. He said he saw the video. He said, and others said that they saw this video and it was so horrible. Does this sound familiar to you? In recent times, videos and evidence that nobody really saw, but people claim they saw, we'll leave it at that. You might know what I'm talking about. And if you don't, better that we not. Don't want to confuse you. But we never brought this up. They did. Somehow on the last day, at the last moment, the 11th hour, the 11th minute, they said there's this video that came out of nowhere, this video that shows, believe it or not, that shows, of all things, Tyler clearly shooting Charlie Kirk, and it never happened. It's not there. It's not. Now you ask the question, well, why is he saying this? I don't know. I have no idea. Could you close this door just so you can make some? Thank you. So we don't know these things. We just don't know. I don't know anything. There was a time, and I'm going to tell you this much, and I'm going to refer to this. And remember, what I'm telling you is not necessarily my belief. I'm telling you a fact that occurred. On October the 7th, it was claimed that there were videos available based upon GoPro and individual Hamas videos and IDF photos that showed the most incomprehensibly horrible medieval torture and horrors that people couldn't even get their heads around. Other people said, that never happened. There's no such thing. We never saw it. You never saw it. And this freaked everybody. What do you mean it never happened? How dare you? And they said, no, it never happened. No, but these people said they saw it. I don't know if Piers Morgan did, but people like this said, no, I saw it. And other people said, no, you didn't. There was no such thing. You're lying. And you're thinking to yourself, wait a minute. How can this? Wait. Somebody saw something. I don't think somebody's just making this up. How can this be? You got me there. So if Pozo comes along and he says, I saw a video, and other people say there was no video, or you may have seen something that they told you was clear, but that's not what you make. Do you know, or what you make as clear as possible? Do you know the level of lying that we are seeing here? The level of lying, if this is true, it boggles the mind. And I'm not frankly used to this. I have a dear friend of mine. Her name is Tinfoil Hat Ms. Dana. And she said to me, BB held a meeting and told his people to control the media. They pay influencers to push narratives. That's what the $7,000 club is. You know, I've heard something similar to that, and could very well be, and it would not surprise me. Why would anybody not want to get one of the most important people ever? And that's people who are like this. Do you know years ago who J. Edgar Hoover worked with? Walter Winchell. When they were trying to find Lepke Buchhalter from Murder Incorporated, they used Walter Winchell to act as an intermediary to basically double-cross Lepke. So this is nothing new. Would you not do this? I would. I would have, if I ran a country, I would have bots, propaganda, paid shills, operatives, agents provocateurs. I would have false flags. I would have a lot of people. I would create momentum. If all of a sudden I got, give me an example. If there was another equivalent of Candace Owens, can you think of an equivalent of Candace Owens? Is there an equivalent of Candace Owens today that would be dissimilar, that would be from the opposite, so to speak? I don't know who that would be. I don't know. Who was the opposite of Candace Owens today? Laura Loomer. Is there anybody as big as Candace who is on the other side? Can you think of anybody? Who would it be? Who would it possibly be? I don't know. I don't know if anybody, and just in terms of the quantity, the power of what she is. And again, people could say, you're talking about her again. It's like, you don't understand. Would it be Don Bongina? I don't think so. Would it be who? There is none. That's why they've got to get these middling people, these mid-level people. You've got to get a cat turd or a even Juanita Broderick or somebody like I know Roseanne's having a field day, bless her heart. And I think we know, I think we know where her sensibilities are. And by the way, remember, this is free speech. You can do whatever you want. You can do whatever you want. By the way, have one of these things. This is so good when you have schmutz and crap on your keyboard. Yesterday, Mrs. Ellen and I went to a place called Stu Leonard's. Got a bunch of bok choy and a bunch of corn and a bunch of these sweet potato chips. Bad, but there's crumbs all over the place. Sorry about that. There is no version of it. There is none. There is no opposite of Candace Owens. It doesn't exist. So what this is really about is how I can do this. So I would make sure I would make a Candace. I would also go to an Elon Musk and say, I want you to create somebody for me. I'm going to pick this person. And I want you to put under followers 10 million. Or a number that's not too high. Or on YouTube, Candace is about 6. I want somebody to be 7. By the way, there are people who are. Have you seen this guy named Caleb Hammer or whatever his name is? This financial, hugely popular, one of the meanest, nastiest. I don't know what that's about. It's a free country, but I can control people like. Have you seen Uncle, what's his name? Who says, don't cut the pork. He's the Uncle Raymond or Uncle. He's a Asian. He's got like 7 million. So all these numbers are enormous. And that's what makes people think that they are important by virtue of the number. So if I ran this, I'm going to say, I want you to create this person. I want you to pick a Laura Loomer or somebody maybe who might be a little bit more reputable, so to speak. And I want them to be the anti-Candace. And I would create it. But there is none. There is none. There is no version. There is no anti-Candace, like antimatter, anti-gravity. There is no anti. It doesn't exist. Because the message is frankly silly. Why do I mean that? Remember, it takes no impetus to make people just glom on board, to jump on board and to glom on. You don't need a lot of people to do this. This is important. This is how a Hitler or a Trump and there's no comparison, or how the Beatles or anything. How does public support begin? How does public support begin? Somebody mentioned recently Megyn Kelly. She's trying so hard to land. I think I wouldn't be surprised if Megyn Kelly hires somebody to say, please go online and tell people how disappointed you are with me. What? We're not disappointed. I know nobody cares what I say. Please go online and tell people how disappointed you are with me. Why? For what I said. What did you say about, about whatever? Nobody cares. She's not. Let me explain something also to you. Listen to me carefully. I thoroughly enjoy this topic because there's so many layers to it. You have no idea. It's not about Candace Owens. That's not it. It's about influence, hate, motivation, scrums, Gustave Le Bon, crowd psychology, ochlocracy, mob behavior. That's what it's about. It's not about Candace Owens per se. That's misleading. That doesn't explain it enough. Okay. That's a different story. But if I do this, and listen to me carefully, if I say, well, let me stop for a minute and let me talk about other things, because this is not the only thing in life that I find interesting. But let me tell you what happens on YouTube. If I change and I give you, okay, I want to talk a little bit about, and I took a chance to talk about Lindsey Graham, people will do this. Nope, I'm going. The audience needs 100% focus on one item. Barron, Colin, Fredo, Ian, maybe not so much, but other people. You've got to stick with this. If you don't, if I go elsewhere, numbers drop, viewers go elsewhere. It's true. It's the truth. And the reason why numbers matter, if I'm going to be here and to try to compete with the rest of the world, and I know numbers are customers. Numbers, that is how you define, this is the metrics of your worth. Sorry to say it, it's the truth. If I talk about too many things that matter, I lose the audience. You've got to know that I am McDonald's and I sell this. I don't do tacos. I don't do spaghetti for the time being until the world gets saturated. It's been about a year. This is the topic. And if anybody thinks that you can, well, let me talk a little bit about Ukraine. No. No. Because there are millions and millions and millions of people who find this topic to be interesting. And they want to know that when you tune in, I'm going to be talking about this or some version of it, some derivative of it, not necessarily something else. And others may say, well, I'm leaving. I want to talk about Ukraine. Fine. Have a nice day. But there's other ones who say, excuse me, can I join? Can I take his place? Yes. And bring some more with you. Understand how this is. This is a battle for the hearts, the minds, the collective ideology of how people work. You understand this? This is exactly the truth. Also, when you do this, what we do right now, this is two examples. It's like taking a piece of hamburger or a steak, throwing it out in your backyard and just waiting, setting up a camera and seeing what shows up. This topic brings in people like you can't believe. People who are scavengers, who love hate. They look around and saying, this is fun. Not only do I watch it. Okay, that's nice. Yeah, Megan Kelly. Oh, okay. Tucker. That's good. Makes a good point. Candace. She's a genius. They are, and I'm not saying this in a mean way, they are playing you perfectly, like product placement. I've got a friend of mine, Sparky, who said, fun fact, Pete Hegseth was Lindsey Graham's joy boy. It was Graham who introduced Hegseth to the media around 2010. Interesting fact. Could not shock me at all. And I thank my dear friends for these wonderful, wonderful, wonderful references. I truly, truly do. But you are being played perfectly. Why do I say this? Experts know that when it comes to what you eat, three things: sweet, savory, and fatty. Fat, penguin, oily, unctuous. Oh, that's a bad word, but that feels good. Sweet, dare I say, but also salty. Salt is the best way to salt is a spice, sweet is a flavor. If you have chocolate chip cookies, very finely take some good salt, good quality. Put a couple of grain, nothing big, don't dump it. You would not believe what salt does for sweet. You have no idea. It's not a combination. They know what it is. They know the packaging. They know the style. They know the look. Some people, they like natural. Remember, years ago, somebody said, what do I do with this? I got all this peanuts and candy and M&Ms. What do I do? And somebody said, call it trail mix. Trail mix. Yeah, call it trail mix. Okay, and it's sold. Let's take you. First, most of you, and I love you, do not have any time to get into any heavy lifting. You don't want any background. You don't want to know the history of this. You don't want to know about the judicial system and, what makes a preliminary hearing versus a trial. What's probable cause? What's history? You don't care about that at all. You don't. You want something easy, something easily just bite-sized, something that looks kind of interesting, something that tastes good, something that gives you an immediate, not something you got to sit around and wait like sprouts. You got to wait and say, okay, well. This gives you something. First of all, who is it? Candace Owens, the heel. Candace Owens, they bring her out, and all of a sudden you're in an arena and everybody starts booing or yelling or screaming or whatever it is. You're saying, I like this. Box office. There is no one today. No one. Not Alex Jones. Alex during his time was maybe closer to this. Nobody gets near Candace Owens. Nobody. Let me say this again. Nobody does. Nobody. Nobody will get under your skin like Candace Owens. Nobody. It does not exist. I've got a good friend of mine. His name is Sparky. And he brought up something to my attention regarding Lindsey Graham. He says Graham was deeply intertwined with the military-industrial complex. Really? Greed motivated him, and the military-industrial complex ensured he got paid and reelected. His sociopathy made blackmail unnecessary. No. I appreciate when people say this. No. First of all, he's not a sociopath. Again, these are one of these terms. I'm changing the subject. He's not a sociopath. He's not a sociopath. Greed is always important. But there's a problem sometimes when people say, you know what, I think I've made enough money. I'm doing okay. I don't have that zeal. And what the zeal means is, I'm not really that crazy about this. But if I show you, Sparky, pictures of you with a duck, that's a different story. If I say that I can show you with some, and I'm not saying they have this, but, no. Blackmail is leverage for everyone. It can not only be necessarily sexual blackmail, but just blackmail, just making sure, blackmail, pressure, influence. Remember, these people are vermin. They are weasels. They are rabid ferrets. These are rodents. Government, but Washington in particular, are the lowest form of vermin anybody has ever seen. For you to even get there, you have to basically turn your back on everything that is decent. Everything. I mean that. But let's go back to this. You don't want to hear anything about the history of this. Candace Owens is perfect. You either love her or you hate her, but it's not, take it or leave it. My good friend Sparky. One time there was this whole notion years ago. Remember the one about the woodchuck outfit in the petting zoo? Just let that go. Let that go. So we don't know anything. All we know is we know kind of the way these people work. But when it comes to Candace, there are people out there, motivators, who absolutely positively must say this. Well, let me ask you this. Do you think if I were, first of all, if I were Bibi Netanyahu, if I were Bibi, and somebody said, listen, we want you to help him, could I do it? I mean, not morally, but do I have a strategy? Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. 100%. What's the first one? Lighten up. Lighten up. Couple of things to look forward to. Did you notice how recently all of a sudden Trump was saying, you know what? I'm going to change my tune regarding Iran. Oh, that's okay. I think we should go back to the drawing board. That's good. Let's work out maybe the idea of ceasefire. That's a good idea. This is what Trump said. Then all of a sudden, Trump says they're trying to assassinate me. They're trying to kill me. I'm not saying it's not true. There's pictures, there's death to Trump. Now remember, we took out their supreme leader. We've killed Soleimani. We've killed everybody. And yet we're a country that gets upset. It's like, how dare you get upset over that? That death was warranted. It was understood. And you're even suggesting that it was out of place. Goes to show you how demented you are. There are people who, if somebody killed our president, our Pope, we would be all over them. And we would be expected to. Iran is different. They're supposed to just sit there. You should just take it because you're crazy and you're demented and you're living in the 4th century and lump it. It's crazy. Absolutely nuts. Absolutely crazy. So all of a sudden, Trump says, I'm going to change my tune. Now, the first thing I'm thinking of is, wait a minute. What? Yeah. Iran's threatening Trump now. You know. Okay. Can I see that? Yeah. Because that sounds like somebody I know. What I'm saying is, if I were Bibi, thank God I'm not in charge of this, I would say, I have got to make people understand that Iran is bad. So let's do a little false flag activity. I'm going to show you a few things. You guys have to learn a lesson. And I'm going to do something which I didn't want to do. And thank God I'm not in charge because I'm evil. I don't use my evil for bad. I recognize evil. I'm like John Douglas. John Douglas can find serial killers. I know what evil is. If I ran a country, I'd have a false flag thing so big and I would attribute it to the very person you want to make a deal with. That's simple. I'd pick something like Las Vegas or something big. World Cup, something big. And I'd say, look at the Iranians, look what they did. And Iran would say, we didn't do that. We go, yeah, typical, you liar. Why? Because a person said whatever they said. It's simple. It's absolutely simple. And the fact that it hasn't been done, thank God it hasn't. Because we would be all over this. And Americans would do no research and they would say, oh, okay. Look at 9/11. We immediately attacked Iraq and Afghanistan. Why? I don't know. I have no idea. But that's the way we are. And if I could get somebody out there, if I could not hurt Candace, not physically, but if I could destroy her worth, because I don't want to make her a martyr. I don't want to do that. I do not want to do that. But if I can just make her the laughing stock, if I could just unleash my drones, my bots, my paid agents provocateurs, let them at it. Maybe I could teach her a lesson by saying your word doesn't mean anything anymore. I'm going to make you out to be some lunatic. You don't think that's happening? You better believe that's happening. But let me tell you what's happening in response. Just like the way vaccines work, and they do, at least the theory behind it, you're building a resistance to this. Instead of what they're doing, making you upset with Candace, you're fortifying your faith in her, your love of her. You think she is wonderful. Your faith in her is something which is off the charts. They've encouraged this. They've created it. Their lunacy has made you absolutely in love with her more than anything. She's coming back tomorrow. You understand this? You understand this? Tomorrow. She sits back, she plays this perfect, and she's still doing her thing. It's the greatest work ever. She loves this, knows it, plays it, and the people who try to destroy her image by virtue of destroying her message online actually are increasing, exacerbating, and intensifying the love that people have. So anyway, we have thrown so much at you. I realize this. Somebody says, my God, what is he talking about? I've got 1,000 things to say. 1,000. I also have your wonderful brilliance, you grace me by being here on a Sunday, being here, being a part of this, lending your brilliance. You'll say something. I want to attach that. Thank you for the super chats. Thank you for the love. Thank you for all of this. But what's important is to understand the psychological mechanism of what's happening. This is greater than anything you can imagine. And do you want to call this a Candace cult? Be my guest. Whatever you want to call it, it doesn't matter. It's one woman against everybody else. She doesn't have a lot of supporters. I mean, she does, but there's like so many of these influencers are coming after her. Who does she have? She has you, of course. She has me. Really, not so much her, but what she said. I say this and you may not believe it. It's not about Candace. It's about what she says. But they have created her. They have created her. They are so stupid and so inept. They don't understand that they are creating the very thing that they're trying to destroy. They're making her bigger, stronger, better than ever. You understand what I'm saying? So get ready, my friends. I want to thank you for this. Please follow Mrs. L at Lynn's Warriors. Please follow her. You've been so terrific with that, and I appreciate that. Please like this video. Subscribe to this channel. Hit that little bell so you're notified of live streams and new videos. We'll talk later on this evening. But remember, this story, if you think this is about Candace, you're missing the point. There is a level of complexity to this at strata and concatenated layers that you can't believe. It's about influence. It's about crowds. It's about psychology. It's about politics. It's about geopolitical. It's about everything. It is absolutely about everything. And throwing in the new myth about Lindsey Graham, again, I'm not gloating over his death. I didn't like him at all as a politician. And we don't know. Could it be? Could it be? Could it be? Could be. I don't know. We don't know anything yet. I wouldn't be surprised. But don't confuse suspicion for fact. Don't confuse being suspicious of maybe something funny going on with absolute fact. Tinfoil Hat says, common sense cult. Indeed. Thank you, dear friends. Thank you, by the way, for watching. By the way, last night on The Other Side of Midnight, I appreciate it immensely. On WABC, so much fun talking about death, and I love this. There's so much that I find fascinating. I am a polymath, not a polyglot, but a polymath, and I love so many subjects, especially not head on, but what the subjects mean. A good friend Gingerama says, "Do you hang on?" Gingerama, just a minute, says. Gingerama says, do you think the white hats are really helping, or are they the other wing of the same bird? You know what? In some respects, I do. There's a lot of good people out there who want to do it. By the way, the white hats are those people in the intel communities who actually are they don't like what's happening. There's a bunch of white hats in big tech who actually wanted to they went to Silicon Valley at first to do no harm, to actually make life in the world better. And they hate what they're saying. They hate the Palantirs and the Altmans and the Karps and all these. They don't like that. So yes, there are dissident factions within any group, good ones, by the way. So keep an eye out on that. In any event, thank you. We will continue with this later on. It's been a nice hour and 4 minutes. Happy Sunday, dear friends. Thank you so much for gracing me with your presence and your love and your kindness. You have no idea how much I I cannot possibly. The comments, I would need another day to handle just comments. So don't think I don't read them. I can't. I don't have a staff. It's me, Mrs. L. That's it. That's it. I've got nobody else. If I had a team, maybe I could. A lot of people who put these videos, these texts, they've got teams. They're paying them. They're not. Everything you see from me is from me. So follow me at Lionel Media on X. Lionel Media. Lionel Media. Lionel Nation here. Lionel Media on X. Until we see each other later on today, my friends, don't know when. That's why you should always hit that little bell so you're notified of live streams, new videos. Until then, remember, the monkey's dead. The show's over. Sue you. Dad.